At a Royal Air Force base in Scotland, the team prepares for an emergency. An aircraft crossing the Atlantic has been hijacked. Colonel Drummond is called in to take charge. He arrives with a serious and focused demeanor. An officer briefs him. The pilot and co-pilot are presumed dead, and one of the passengers appears on Germany's terrorist watch list, a startling revelation. Colonel Drummond heads to the control center, where the team establishes contact with the plane and instructs it to land. Another officer keeps a close eye as the aircraft approaches. The landing is rough, but the plane touches down successfully. Drummond requests a closer inspection and attempts to communicate with the crew to understand the situation on board. Suddenly, there's movement near one of the doors. A parachute drops and a young boy emerges. Two RAF trucks rush to retrieve him. It's clear now. This is a serious terrorist incident. Drummond notices someone new in the cockpit. He radios the person, warning that any movement will lead to being shot. The man is ordered to stay seated and raise his hands. The stranger insists he's not a terrorist and pleads for a chance to explain.
You have to believe me, I'm no terrorist.
Put your hands behind your head.
Later, a translator is sent to speak with the boy, Elias. A doctor examines him, but Elias is too shocked to respond. The story rewinds to the previous day. In a hotel room, Elias's mother, Nadia, prepares for their upcoming flight. She speaks to her doctor in New York about a mysterious illness she's dealing with. Later, Elias calls her to say he's already checked in their luggage. That night, Nadia meets him at the airport. They clear security and wait for boarding. Nadia heads to the restroom, where she mixes her medication, drinks something, and injects herself. Back in the waiting area, Elias chats with a man named Farid, who asks where his mother is. Soon, Nadia returns, and the two board the plane. A flight attendant offers coffee to the pilots before heading to the crew area. She asks a colleague named 8-Ball to deal with a difficult passenger in first class. The flight departs Germany, heading toward the United States. Later, Nadia returns from the bathroom, writes in her notebook, and finds a photo of her and her husband. She recalls a time when their car broke down in a remote area. Her husband went to seek help while she stayed behind with their baby. Eventually, she wandered into a forest and found an abandoned house. Inside, she followed a trail of blood into the basement, where she was attacked by a vampire. She managed to lock herself in, found her husband's lifeless body, and was bitten by the vampire just before sunrise destroyed it. Back on the plane, something begins to unfold at the front. 8-Ball tries calming a passenger, but the situation escalates. An air marshal intervenes. 8-Ball pulls a knife and kills the second marshal. A passenger disables the first one. 8-Ball then sends Curtis to locate and kill the third marshal. Curtis returns with her weapon, and 8-Ball murders the final marshal in front of another hijacker, Carl, who seems visibly disturbed. Meanwhile, Nadia senses something is wrong. 8-Ball reveals a weapon and forces the passengers to stay seated. His team herds everyone to the rear. Berg, another hijacker, heads to the cockpit, converses with the co-pilot, Bastian, and throws the pilot's body out. He announces control of the plane and orders passengers to stay still with their hands on the seats. Meanwhile, hijacker Yuri alters the flight recorder and informs Berg. The co-pilot reroutes the aircraft. Elias, worried for his mother, studies the plane's layout to help her avoid sunlight. Curtis escorts Farid to the front while Carl tries to keep 8-Ball calm. Meanwhile, Elias leaves his seat. Nadia follows him, but 8-Ball shoots her in front of Elias. He grabs the boy while Carl warns him to stay quiet. Berg and Curtis discuss the chaos. Berg reprimands 8-Ball for acting without orders and uses Nadia's shooting to intimidate the passengers into submission.
If you again, I'm gonna kill you myself.
However, Nadia regains consciousness in the cargo area. Hearing dogs barking, she climbs through a hatch. Meanwhile, Berg forces Farid and two others to record a fake terrorist video. Nadia hides under a car as Curtis and Yuri arrive to collect bomb-making tools. While Yuri works, Nadia feeds on a dog. The noise draws Yuri, who discovers her, only for Nadia to kill him. Meanwhile, Farid returns to sit with Elias. Nadia, now fully transformed, tries to medicate herself but overhears Berg talking about a countdown. She drinks Yuri's blood to regain strength and moves toward the cabin. The hijackers deceive the passengers. threatening to release gas if anyone resists. They find Yuri's body beside the dead dog, planted by Nadja to mislead them. Shortly after, Nadja finds Elias in the back. The passengers panic, thinking she's the threat. Together, Nadja and Elias rush to the cockpit, stunned to find the pilots gone. She pleads for anyone who can fly the plane. One man steps forward, and Nadja takes him to the controls. Fareed stays behind to inform the others about the hijackers' real plan. Inside the cockpit, Nadja locks the door. The hijackers prepare to parachute, wearing diving suits. Berg communicates with someone who will retrieve them from the ocean. Nadja begins changing again, frightening Elias. The new pilot says the plane is still on autopilot. Nadja watches the hijackers through the security feed and tells him not to make any changes until they jump. But 8-Ball discovers she's still alive. He returns with Berg and demands to know her location. A passenger reveals she's in the cockpit. Soon the hijackers pound on the door.
Open the door!
Nadja orders the pilot to reroute the plane back to the US, even though it's now closer to Europe. Terrified, he agrees. Realizing the course change, Berg becomes furious. He kills a passenger and threatens to continue unless the door is open. 8-Ball brings a little girl forward. Berg holds her up so Nadja can see and starts counting down to shoot her. Before he finishes, Nadja bursts from the cockpit and bites Berg's neck. Chaos erupts. The pilot locks the door behind her, keeping Elias safe. Nadja kills Berg and chases the other hijackers, but Berg begins transforming into a vampire. Nadja senses that he is changing and returns to finish him off with a knife. 8-Ball witnesses it, and it seems he has a sinister plan just then. Nadja comes back to the cockpit and tells Elias to remain inside. She locks herself in the bathroom, noticing she's continuing to change. Meanwhile, 8-Ball searches Nadja's bag, finds her notebook, and reads it. He tells the other hijackers she's a vampire. Carl is skeptical, thinking 8-Ball has lost it. But 8-Ball shows them a UV light, saying it can hurt her just like a sun does.
She wants to get away from the sun.
Inside the plane's bathroom, Nadja gives herself an injection. As she does, memories from her past come flooding back once again. She remembers how hard it was trying to care for her baby, Elias, while also needing blood to survive as a vampire. One night, Elias cries nonstop. Frustrated, Nadja hisses at him. But she quickly pulls out her fangs to make sure she doesn't hurt her baby. Later, she visits the place where she was first turned into a vampire. There, she meets the father of the vampire who infected her. He tells her that his son couldn't control his thirst for blood, and neither can he. He believes vampires only bring pain, so he shoots Nadja. Back on the plane, one of the hijackers, 8-Ball, begins making a wooden stake. The hijackers argue about their next steps. Carl tells Bastian that their best chance is to take control of the cockpit again. Elias leaves the cockpit, even though the pilot begs him to stay. He finds his mother in the bathroom and helps her. When the hijackers come back, the pilot quickly locks himself inside the cockpit again. Nadja approaches 8-Ball, but he is ready. He shines a UV light on her, burning her skin, and she collapses once again. He then quickly tells the others to fly the plane without him while he studies Nadja. He fills a syringe with her blood and prepares to inject himself. Just then, Elias shows up, pointing a gun at him. 8-Ball tries to grab the gun, but it goes off and breaks a window. The cabin loses pressure and panic spreads. Bastian says they only have 10 minutes of oxygen, so the plane must go lower. Nadja helps Elias wear an oxygen mask, grabs the gun, and shoots at 8-Ball, who escapes. Meanwhile, the pilot passes out in the cockpit, unable to reach a mask while keeping the door shut. Meanwhile, the hijackers use this chance to break in. Nadja gives Elias to Fareed and tells him to keep him safe. Suddenly, the plane drops altitude. Nadja runs after 8-Ball and finds him inside a bulletproof car. She shoots at him, but it has no effect. Ignoring her, 8-Ball injects himself with her vampire blood. He begins to transform into a vampire. Nadja knows she must stop him before he becomes too strong. She finds alcohol and matches, pours the alcohol into the car, and lights it. As she watches him burn, she remembers the older vampire telling her that their kind must not be allowed to spread. 8-Ball laughs at her and says she can't control the monster inside. Nadja smashes his face. Meanwhile, the hijackers notice the smoke. Nadja quickly puts out the fire and returns to the cabin. As soon as she re-enters, the hijackers shoot at her. The passengers panic and run forward. Farid carries Elias. Meanwhile, the hijackers find 8-Ball, now fully turned and frightening. He chases them around and he finally gets to them. He bites Curtis and attacks others, also turning them. Nadja locks the cargo hold behind her. Elias yells that the passengers want to hurt her. Farid says they won't, but someone shoots her. She defends herself and tries to run. Elias pleads with her not to hurt Farid as she moves toward him. Then Nadja hears vampires trying to escape the cargo area. She hurries to stop them and locks 8-Ball behind a door. Farid tries to help but gets bitten. Another man shoots 8-Ball. To stop the infection from spreading, Nadja cuts off Farid's hand. Curtis, now a full vampire, climbs back into the plane. Nadja fights both him and 8-Ball, saving a stewardess. Afterwards, she returns to the passengers. Farid tells them that Nadja is on their side. They all head to the cockpit. Farid tells Nadja that the plane is almost out of fuel and they must find the closest airport. Elias and Farid convince her to hide in a dark space under the cockpit. Bastian stays with them. The pilot finally contacts a British airbase and tells them the plane was hijacked, but the hijackers are now locked in the cargo hold. Shortly, Elias searches for Nadja's medicine while the passengers hear the vampires growling. One injured man decides to get bitten, thinking it will save him. He goes and frees 8-Ball. However, 8-Ball kills him right away and attacks the other passengers. Nadja and Farid realize things are getting worse. People run toward the cockpit, trying to break in. Bastian holds the door closed. Nadja understands they can't land the plane, or the vampires will escape. Farid suggests they land and blow up the plane from a distance. They go to the fuel tank to set up explosives, but realize there is no timer. Nadja says she'll stay behind and destroy the plane after everyone leaves. She tells Elias someone has to do it, but Elias doesn't want her to die.
Spreng ich sie? Nein, Mama!
So he runs to the cargo hold with a UV light to protect himself. He searches for the timer the hijackers had. The vampires chase him, but he avoids them. He finds the timer and runs back, but they attack him and he drops the UV light. From the cockpit, Nadja sees her son in danger. She checks with Bastian, who says the plane is on autopilot and the airbase can land it. She then asks Farid to promise he'll take care of Elias. Knowing she won't return, she bites Bastian and gives in to her full vampire nature. At the same time, 8-Ball attacks Elias. Nadja shows up and fights him. During the fight, he bites her. Elias thinks fast and opens the cargo door. Nadja uses the open door to push 8-Ball outside. Farid sees Elias is still with Nadja. When 8-Ball tries to get back inside, Farid tilts the plane. Sunlight pours in and burns 8-Ball to death. Elias gives Nadja some of his blood, and she wakes up. She almost loses control and tries to drink more, but stops herself, pushes him away, and returns to the cargo hold. Later at the RAF base, Elias asks a translator to help Farid, but she refuses. Elias explains that they need to save Farid before sunset, or the vampires will attack. The soldiers give Elias a sedative. Colonel Drummond, the commanding officer, decides to wait while the vampires feed on dead bodies. Farid begs the soldiers to understand, but they don't believe him. In the end, they shoot him and drag him off the plane. The soldiers go inside, unaware of the danger. Meanwhile, Elias is in an ambulance. He secretly uses the sedative on the paramedic, takes his teddy bear, and escapes. And he runs back to the plane. Inside, the soldiers are attacked by vampires. Farid sees Elias nearby, but can't get his attention. Unaware Farid is out, Elias gets inside and sees his mother feeding on a soldier. He calls her name. Realizing she is no longer the mother he knew, Elias makes a hard choice. He blows up the plane. Drummond and his team watch in shock. Farid then finds Elias near the wreckage and they hug tightly, finally being the only survivors of the horrific flight. Blood Red Sky is a thrilling mix of horror and action that tells the story of a mother hiding a dark secret. When hijackers take over a plane, she must reveal her true nature to protect her son. The film blends vampire horror with emotional storytelling, creating a suspenseful and unforgettable experience.